Hi everyone! This video is a part 2 to this video. In it, I showed and talked about all the digital art I made from January to June 2025. Because of how much I draw, I have to separate this into two parts. In this video, I will go from July to December. As a heads up, I mainly draw my characters, with some fan art here and there. I might ramble a bit. I use Ibis Paint X to draw, here are the brushes I use the most. And I also draw some sensitive stuff sometimes, some blood here and there, so keep that in mind as we go on. Now get yourself some food, maybe pull out your sketchbook or tablet, and let's get into it. Let's just go from where we left off. First up is this drawing of Operetta from Monster High. This is the doll I made of her. She's still one of my favorites. I had fun drawing all the details I put on the doll, and I really like the pose. Then I drew Apple White from Ever After High. I was thinking about making her into a doll as well, and here I kind of reworked an older redesign I did. The doll ended up looking a little different, but I'm still super proud of her. Next I drew a bunch of outfits for my character Iris. She still doesn't have much lore, but she's cute and fun to draw. Bars. She's one of my characters that have a set color palette. She always wears this specific shade of blue, brown, beige, and white. As for her style, I didn't really go for a specific one. She just wears a lot of cute and feminine stuff, from overalls to frilly dresses to sweaters and baggy pants. The paw print outfit is for sure my favorite. Next is my character Cassandra with a golden labubu, based on this meme. Before that lady made that weird KSI labubu, but this is very fitting for Cassandra. She collects a lot of super random stuff. Then I drew your OCs for a video. I've done this a few times on my channel, where I announced that I want to do this. You guys send me your characters either through an email or an Instagram hashtag. Then after about a week of waiting, I randomly choose a bunch of characters and draw them in my style. I was planning to do this maybe once every couple months, but I got a bit busy during the fall, so that has to wait for now. I'll do it again though, don't worry, because this is always very fun. The characters are so different from one another and I love doing something out of my comfort zone. Nudity warning for the next drawing, skip here if you need to. This is Cassandra and her old girlfriend Celine. This is kind of the timeline of their relationship. At the top is them in college, madly in love, but unfortunately they did break up. Cassandra is a witch, and she needed to have a biological daughter to pass the powers to her, though she didn't tell Celine the full truth, and Celine wasn't sure if she wants to start a family. Years later they both got married, but weren't happy. Cassandra's husband cheated on her, so they got divorced shortly after Bonnie was born, and Celine married her husband out of obligation pretty much. She wanted to move on from Cassandra by any means. At first the marriage seemed great, but after the oldest son passed away they became very distant. The last frame is after Celine and Cassandra got back in touch. Celine is unhappy in her marriage but refuses to admit it, and Cassandra is yearning hard but doesn't step over the line. This is very sad, but they do end up together by the end of the story. Then I drew another flashback of them. Cassandra also likes to give people nicknames, Bonnie for Bonnie, Muffin for Mingyu, and Pumpkin for Celine, and I added that here so I don't forget. I remember I wanted to draw but didn't feel like doing it from scratch, so I just took the Iris base from earlier and drew some more outfits for her. This was very fun, I love stuff like this, feels like a dress-up doll. I already have a nice base, might as well reuse it. This is my character Elsa, and I think I drew this based on my custom doll I made of her. I made a video about that as well, so check it out if you're interested. I was still in the Cassandra and Celine mood, so I did a little animation of them kissing. I was referencing a scene from Arcane. I just love the micro expressions and the hesitation. I cannot do that on my own. The result is a little choppy, but it's okay. I still like it. This is another little idea I had and wanted to draw before I completely forget about it. I've been asked what is Cassandra's sexuality. If I had to put a label on it, I would say she's pan. She doesn't care about gender, she just likes who she likes. But if we're talking in character, she doesn't label herself. She just thinks that everyone's a little gay, so who cares? Still Cassandra and Celine. I know. This is another flashback. Just the two of them hanging out. Cassandra is talking about something while Celine listens. I also made a nude version where Cassandra doesn't have a shirt. I remember when I posted it on Instagram, the post actually got hidden from a lot of people, and the post barely got any reach, so I reposted it later without the nudity because I like this drawing a lot and I wanted people to see it. Next, I did a Cassandra animation. Man, I was drawing her a lot. This is the driving in my car right after a beer. Though in the original, the driver is trying to run someone over, and for Cassandra, I just showed off her amazing driving skills. I love this, it's really funny. I have it posted on Shorts, Instagram, and TikTok. Next, I revisited my old clown characters. I made a full video about it, so I'll go through these quickly. In the rewrite, these characters are vampire clowns in a traveling circus. I call them the Twisted Twilight Troupe. First up is Alora, the leader of the circus. Next is Penny, the mischievous one. Rye, I mean look at him, he's so cool looking. Cedric, he makes everyone's costumes. Morgan, the strongest but also the sweetest member. And Mona, the most mysterious one. Then I drew a poster for each of them. The last few aren't the best, but for the most part I really love them and would love to have them as actual posters. And here they are all together, in and out of character. I haven't done much with these characters yet, but I'm very happy with the revamp. Get it? Because they're vampires. This is a little flashback of Elsa and Daisy when they were teens. Their friendship wasn't the greatest. Elsa didn't have a good home life, so she clung to the few friends she had. With Daisy, she would always talk about herself, or Ben. She wasn't very interested in what Daisy had going on. She just loved the idea of having a girl best friend. And Daisy was very timid back then, it just kind of went along with everything. As she got older, she realized how unhealthy this dynamic really was. This is definitely not based on my own experience. This drawing is me kind of expanding on that. Elsa would also invite Daisy over to her house all the time to have fun, but it would usually end up like this. Elsa talking about herself and Daisy just giving dry responses. Sometimes Elsa's mom would return home earlier than planned, yell at Elsa for bringing guests over without permission, even yell at Daisy at times. It was just extremely awkward. This is one of those bad teenage friendships that you look back on years later in disbelief. Again, definitely not from experience. Here I drew Celine with her twin sons, Dan on the left and Ben on the right, when they were happy and all alive. Ben is the one that passed away. I'll get into the details later. They're so let's look the same as Mama. These are my many magic characters, Rachel and Melanie. I might be able to find the reference photo. These two are magical girls, and they're a couple. I remember doing the sketch, then I abandoned it for a good few months. Then on a random evening I felt like finishing it. I like this a lot. This is Mingyu's older sister Hyunjae. She's a minor character in the story, but she's very pretty and I like drawing her. I did the same thing I did with Iris, drew a base and drew a bunch of outfits over it. Hyunjae's style is very casual and sort of basic, but also cool in a way. Pretty neutral colors, she likes to wear flannels, jeans or shorts. She doesn't really wear skirts or dresses, and her hair is always the same. I love her face, and for her body type I wanted to give her kind of a rectangle shape. Her waist isn't very pronounced, for a little variety. Next I drew Mingyu and Sam, and this needs some context. This takes place after this. Mingyu and Dan were at a party and ended up kissing for the first time while they were both drunk. It was a very awkward situation for Mingyu. In the moment he liked it, but he was mortified the morning after. They both agreed to forget about it and stay friends. Mingyu even apologized to Dan, even though he wasn't the one who initiated the kiss. But because of Mingyu's past experiences, he's very paranoid about stuff like that. He's very careful about his interactions with guys, and he blames himself when stuff like this happens. Sam saw the kiss, and in his drawing they're talking about it. Mingyu is still mortified, and Sam tries to calm him down. In the end, it kind of clicks for Mingyu. It's true, he wasn't the one who initiated the kiss. Dan did. I feel like the dialogue would have worked better if this was a comic, but I did not have time for that. I actually rewrote this recently, and right now I'm just waiting for the AO3 invite so I can post it there. This is when I got the idea that maybe at some point Sam had a little crush on Hyunjae. This didn't really go anywhere. I like the pairing actually, but Sam also gets a girlfriend later in the story, so this will most likely not be canon. Next, I did my OC drawing challenge with Elsa. I made this list myself, and of course I turned this into a video as well, so I'll go through these quickly. I had a lot of fun with this, and I had a lot of fun sharing Elsa's lore. These videos are a nice way to have the lore more compacted and focused, if that makes sense. I do share the lore in most of my videos, but it's probably hard to follow as a new viewer, it's just random chunks out of order. So if you want to know more about a specific character, these videos are very helpful. I still need to do Mingyu, Dan, and Sam. Then I might do it with my other stories as well, or some of the side characters, I'm not sure. You can also do the challenge yourself if you want to. Here I was just trying to give Sam a gummy smile. Doesn't look too bad, I need to figure out how to stylize them. This is Rainbow Dash from My Little Pony, my take on her, of course. I just felt nostalgic, I haven't drawn any My Little Pony characters in a while, and I like my Rainbow Dash design. Here I drew Iris and Daisy together, the siblings. I wanted to show off their different styles and personalities. They're very different from one another, but they get along super well and have a great relationship. I love how they turned out here. Iris is very bubbly and cute, she's also taller than Daisy despite being younger, and Daisy is a goth. He wears a lot of black and red and puts on a rough facade. At this point Daisy is a lot more confident. Love these two. Then I drew some outfits for Celine. This is when I made a Pinterest board for her, so I was feeling inspired. Her style is business casual, I guess. She likes wearing blouses or button-up shirts, sometimes dresses, jeans. Very neutral, very mindful. Her body was fun to draw. When I first designed her, she was pretty thin, but then I just kept adding more weight to her. She's a mother. She's allowed to have some stretch marks and some rolls. Her being skinny just doesn't feel right. I don't know. This is when I revamped my Many Magic universe a little bit. Obviously there's a video about that as well. The biggest thing I changed is the character's civilian looks. Before this, their before and after transformation looks weren't that different and it started to bother me. Then I just changed some parts of the story, added some more stuff, nothing too major. You can see all of it in the video if you'd like. I'm super happy with the art I made for this. I finally made a cover for this universe as well. I still need to do that with my other stories, but this is already something. It's okay to go back and redo stuff sometimes. I do that a lot. I got an idea to switch Bonnie and Mingyu, like Bonnie messed up a swap spell or something. I think I got this idea from Wednesday. I haven't watched the show, but I saw some clips and thought it would be fun. I'll come back to this in a bit. Once again, I wanted to draw, but not from scratch, so I reused the Hyunjae base and drew some more outfits. Also, sometimes I get asked where I get outfit ideas for my characters, and I just use Pinterest. I have boards for most of my characters. It's very helpful not just with outfits, but even plot ideas sometimes. I know there are other websites where you can make mood boards or collages and stuff like that, but personally I just use Pinterest. Then I drew Fluttershy for My Little Pony. Again, my take on her. I feel like I have to clarify that. I like the teeth a lot. I remember someone in the comments gave me the idea. It's cute, and it also works for Fluttershy. In the bat episode at the very end you can see she still has fangs, so this could be that. Next I did an animatic with Iris. It's inspired by Mao Mao 2 on TikTok. It's simple, nothing crazy, I finished it quickly, but it's cute and fun and I love it. I have it posted on here as a separate video. Then I came back to the body swap plot. I was thinking about it while on a walk and got a whole cartoon episode worth of plot, so I tried to sketch it out. Bonnie was practicing a swap spell, messed it up and ended up swapping bodies with Mingyu. Mingyu is freaking out, but Cassandra quickly figures out what's going on. But she says she can't help since she's not the one who casted the spell. Bonnie can't reverse it in her current state, so she has to teach Mingyu how to do it. They have to go to classes like this, try to act normal. Then by the end, Mingyu does reverse the spell, and all is well. Bonnie can do the spell correctly now. Cassandra congratulates her and reverses it. Yeah, she could do it this whole time, just decided not to. Then I start Cringtober. Again, there's a video about it, so I'm not gonna focus on each drawing so much. Overpowered. Elsa by the end of the story, at least as of right now. Weird colors. I could have done more here. Chibi. That outfit made a return. Fursona. This was my redemption from the year before. Favorite cliche. I did found family. Love this one. Musical. Anime. Core aesthetic. Indie game. This could be better. Unnecessarily complex design. Love this one so much. Cassandra looks so good here. And I saved the base, so I might draw more looks for her. Crossover. The Witch's Sorrows and the Boys collab, I guess. Vocaloid. Animal traits. This isn't taboo, okay? Not anymore. First OC. This one was super fun. I didn't think it would be that fun. Reclaimed Insecurity. Meh. I didn't really know what to do here. First attempt. I tried 3D sculpting at first. That didn't go well. Then I tried photo bashing and that went much better. And when I posted these, they got a lot of reach, which was cool. OCX Canon. Alternate Universe. I did a Zombie Apocalypse AU. I really should revisit this. Meme redraw. Just Baby Bonnie. Animatic. It's fun, I'm happy with it, and I have it up on my channel, so check it out. It's basically about comparing Warmed Up and The Witch's Sorrows. One is a simple slice of life, and the other is a drama, kind of. Pick Crew. I explained it in more detail in the video, but I basically created a randomized character using 2 of my pick crews and drew them. By the way, I made a new pick crew now, and you can go and play it, or even watch this video I made about it. It's like really cool and stuff. R-style experiment. I just did the evil R-style trend basically. Soulmates. Of course, it's Cillian and Cassandra. Character redesign. I finally redesigned my character Nicole, and I'm so glad that I did. She's so much more interesting now, and I actually enjoy drawing her. Fake game screenshot. I tried to make these look like dating sim screenshots. I drew all of these in a day, which is crazy. I like them a lot. Coming up with the dialogue options was fun. For Gajinka, I drew my human main 6 again, and it was fun. But man, it wasn't fun at all when I posted them. I had to turn my comments off for the first time ever, because I got tired of deleting racist comments. I would check my Instagram, have a lot of comment notifications, and most of them were fatphobic or racist. Despite that, I'm happy with these. Guilty Pleasure Media. Kids Show. Clown, love this one, and finally Halloween. Yay! Then I revisited my design for Cheerilee from My Little Pony. I changed it a little bit and I like it a lot more. I made the face sweeter, covered the neck, gave her lighter palms and stuff like that, made the outfit more interesting. Then I did the same thing with my Zecora design. This was mostly an outfit redesign, honestly. I just wanted to give her a more casual outfit, I guess. Something she could wear while visiting Ponyville. I love the result. I got quite a few comments saying that the new design doesn't exactly scream Zecora anymore, and I definitely get that, but I don't know, my approach with these is making them look more like people rather than ponies as humans, if that makes sense. I love the head wrap, but I also want to draw her without it and show off her hair. Next is a whole group of new characters. Well, mostly new. A friend of mine gave me the idea that Cassandra needs a witch friend, but I went even further and made her a whole coven. They don't really get along very well, there's some animosity going on, but there aren't many witches to choose from, so they kind of have to be a coven. Evelyn is the meanest, despite her appearance. She's one of those people that hide their nastiness behind a smile. She can be rude without even realizing it. I love how her smile turned out. I don't draw smiles like this often. Wynonna is the most distant. She is very aware of the animosity and doesn't hide it. She doesn't go out of her way to cause conflict, but she's not going to stay quiet or play along when you test her, or when Evelyn tests her. Pamela is definitely my favorite out of the new characters. She's sweet, she's funny, and she's not inspired by Pam from Stardew Valley. I get why someone would think that, but it wasn't intentional. I also get a lot of comments from people comparing Pam to their grandmas or aunts or other relatives, and it's so fun. I love that. Wendy was already in the story, but she got a small rewrite. Making her Cassandra's friend and Aunt Wendy to Bonnie just makes sense, and makes it a lot easier to include her in the main story. And here they are all together, again. I wonder who the important character is. Then I drew Elsa using a reference I found on Twitter. If I find it, I'll put it on the screen, but it fits Elsa so well, so I couldn't not draw this. Nudity warning for the next drawing. Skip to here if you need to. Another Elsa drawing based on a reference, but after I drew this, I was told that this is fan art and the original artist doesn't like people redrawing their work. Here is the original artwork with the artist's name. Before I drew my piece, I tried to find the artist, but everything I looked at said that this is official art, which sucks. I would be very annoyed if that happened to me. If I knew beforehand, I probably wouldn't have drawn this, but, it's already done. I only posted it on TikTok though. I might redraw it at some point and change something so it's more distinct because I love the idea. But yeah, thank you to the person that informed me. Moving on. We got a comic! What? That's crazy. Bad things are happening in town. Something dark is coming. Cassandra can feel it in her bones. Oh, never mind. It's just arthritis. This is a simple one, just then getting a little touchy with Mingyu. Started small and casual with the shoulders and got to neck touching. Ooh. Mingyu isn't used to this, but he doesn't mind. I like how I reversed their colors on their clothes. I felt smart and clever when doing that. Then I tried photo bashing again, but in black and white. You just take a bunch of photos, put black and white filters on them, and you got a mugshot of your OC. No, but this kind of photo bashing is very fun to do, and everything blends together much easier. And then you can add a multiply layer and color it. It's great. Oh, and this is supposed to be Cassandra. Then I did a little TikTok trend where you draw yourself and your favorite characters that are similar to you. It's a very sweet trend. For mine, I chose Fluttershy, Rainbow from Dream SMP. Shut up. Whitaker from The Pit. He is me, I am him, but also I want him. Anyway. Frankie from Monster High. I have a soft spot for them. Claudia from Interview with a Vampire, and Jinwoo from Strangers from Hell. Always irritated, just like me. Did the black and white photo bashing again with Rachel, but I did a full body and I colored it as well. This was challenging but very fun. I could have done better on the background though. Then I decided to redesign Ben. Again. So he died, like I said. He died from a love spell Elsa put on him. Then 5 years later she revived him, but he came back wrong. I explain it in more detail in this video, if you care. His old design just bothered me. I needed more. Then I saw the creature from the new Frankenstein movie and this specific photo of Lestat from Interview with a Vampire, and a light bulb lit up in my brain. I kind of combined both with Ben and got this. I like this design so much more. He's very pretty, but also Elsa, please just let him rest. Next, I decided to do a comic drawing challenge. In the middle working on a picture because I have way too much free time. I made my own prompt list, and of course there is a video about it, so I'll go through the comics quickly. First was character introduction. I drew Elsa's first appearance in The Witch's Sorrows. Dan looks delicious here. So far, this is my favorite drawing of him, and it was a pretty solid start for the challenge. Next comic theme is song lyrics. I used lyrics from He's My Man by Lovecat. That song inspired Elsa and Ben's entire plot, and it fits them perfectly. I love and hate their dynamic. Just leave that boy alone! Next prompt was conversation. The characters are Nicole and Tyler, and the joke is that Tyler changes their hair all the time. The comic is simple, but it actually got a lot of reach on both my Instagram and YouTube, which really surprised me. On Instagram it got over 70,000 likes, and I usually get only a couple thousand on my posts. Then I randomly decided to post it to YouTube Shorts as well, and the next morning it had over 200,000 views. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I didn't even get flooded with negative comments. Usually when a post of mine gets more reach than usual, I get a lot of bad comments, but that didn't happen here, so that's nice. Here the theme is poem. I found a poem online and turned it into dialogue. Cassandra tried to be profound, but failed. This took a while to finish, but I'm glad I did it. I especially love the living room view. I saved it separately and will use it for reference in the future. Next I did a scary comic and used my not Dreamy Simpy characters. For once. I love the first shot so much. And this is an idea that I've had for a while actually. I wanted to draw this comic for so long, but didn't have the time or didn't feel like it. I originally was going to make it really detailed and in color, so I just gave up after barely finishing one frame. Then I discovered Dispatch. I have a lot of very mixed feelings about the game itself, but the characters are cool. My favorite is Waterboy, so I did a few facial studies of him. I feel like he fits my style pretty well. I also used a new brush here. I usually use Dip Pen Heart, and for this I used Heart Falcon Pen Smooth. I really like how it looks here. The front-facing drawing is my favorite. Then I get back to comics. This is for the romance plot. I redrew an old comic I did with Nicole and Oliver. I love the coloring style I chose for this, looks really cute and cozy. Also, she does like him back. I thought it was obvious from all the hearts, but some people were confused. Yes, she likes him back. A lot. And they do get together after this. Maybe Nicole's face is the reason why people got confused. That's just how she looks flustered, okay? This comic is a cutaway gag. I saved this idea for this challenge specifically. Cassandra isn't employed, but always finds ways to get money. This time it was her crow friend bringing her someone's wallet. I thought the idea was funny and very in character. The process was fun, and I just love drawing Cassandra and Celine together. Clearly. Another Waterboy study, and I love this one so much. I truly killed it here. I love everything. The line art, the shading, the blush, just everything. Then I drew him again, but this is without using a specific reference. This is Tyler at their job. My friend wanted me to draw one of my OCs doing the Gen Z stare, and Tyler was the best pick. This is the argument comic from the challenge. This one took forever to finish because I was a bit burnt out. Daisy and Dan are arguing because Elsa is back, but no one told Daisy. She feels left out, just like when they were kids. She's understandably upset, but at the same time, Dan wasn't sure how to tell her since they're not really on speaking terms. It's complicated. I explain it in a little more detail in the video. People were asking me to draw more Dispatch characters, so I did a bunch of studies. This was very fun. The characters' features are really nice, and I feel like my style worked pretty well here. I tried to make them accurate, while still in my style. Prism was the most fun for me to draw for sure. Tyler working again. I had some trouble choosing the colors here. At first I went for yellow hair and a green shirt. Then I realized it's just Tweak from South Park, so I switched it to blue and gray. Next I drew Prism with a bunch of different hairstyles. I got a few comments asking to draw her with an afro, but I got carried away. I gave her the afro, different braids, knots, bobs. This was very fun, and I tried to keep the triangle motif for most of these, because, you know, prisms and stuff. My favorite is probably the asymmetrical bob. This was also a very nice exercise. Oh, and I changed her boots to match the rest of the design. I just can't stand that her boots are both blue and a different shade of blue. Maybe it's to show that she's on a budget, but it just bothers me. I can't help it. This is the incorrect quote comic. I think this dialogue is originally from Friends, but I'm not sure. I just used the generator to give me ideas. This is Nicole and Tyler again. Someone said that Tyler looks like a Christmas tree here. Can't say I disagree. Speaking of, here is the holiday comic. This was around Christmas time, so I drew Christmas. I love this. Cassandra and Celine being cute again, making their kids uncomfortable. I love how this turned out. The coloring, the sweaters. I was in a very good mood when I drew this, but it was so painful to have to wait until Christmas to post it. Next is the fourth wall break comic. I went in a more meta humor direction with this. The joke is that Tyler does not move in these comics. I just drew one frame for them and only added their mouths to open and close. I finished this faster than I thought. What I really hate about drawing comics is having to stay consistent, keep all the details, all the colors. To kind of help with that, I might add it on top of the previous frame, but it's still such a nightmare. I like the outfits I gave them here though. Here, the prompt is establishing shot. I drew the establishing shot in question completely by hand, which is surprising. I usually draw over my references when doing backgrounds, but here my reference was an actual house on my street and I didn't want to dox myself. It was still fun though, and I'm happy with the result. And the rest is just Dan being rude. This also gave me an idea for a cool and smart parallel, how their homes represent their families. Dan's family is well off, they have a huge house, but they themselves are quite distant. It's very rare for all of them to be home at the same time, and even if they are, they usually just stay in their rooms. And visually, their house is nice on the outside, but quite empty on the inside. They don't have a lot of decorations or personal stuff. While Bonnie's house is much smaller, a bit messy, and they might not have a lot of money, but as a family, they are incredibly close. They spend most of their time together, even if it's just watching TV quietly in the evening. Every room is filled with their family history, their interests, just them. Just throwing this out there so it doesn't just disappear into my brain. This comic is super simple, but I just love it so much. It's so endearing to me. This is a scene redraw. I took a scene from The Craft and redrew it with Dan and Elsa. I like this a lot. The coloring is a bit different than usual. I tried to do my no line art style again, but it was blending together a bit, so I ended up adding more outlines. Here is Ben, very alive and not dead at all. He's so sweet. He was a very nice boy. Maybe too nice. Next is, I guess, a comic as well, about Mingyu needing to touch up his roots, but then he thinks about how long that will take and changes his mind. My brother, just another me. I guess this is vent art in a way. I've been thinking about dyeing my hair purple for weeks now, but I just can't be bothered. I did mess up a little bit with the time here. I forgot that you usually don't have to do 2 rounds of bleach on your roots, and you don't have to keep the bleach on for very long. Usually, but it's also very individual from what I know. Everyone's hair is different, and there are different bleaches out there as well. Maybe he's using a very low volume one. I know those are more gentle and less damaging, but they also work slower, so it needs to stay on for longer. And again, from what I know, Asian hair is a bit harder to bleach. Whatever, it's not that serious. I'm going off topic. This also did really well on my socials, especially YouTube. I posted it as a short without thinking about it too much, and when I woke up the next morning, it had 1 million views. I was shook. Absolutely shook. As of writing this, it's at 3 million, which is nuts. Thank you so much for that. Back to the comic challenge. This is the Unreliable Narrator comic. Dan and Elsa are catching up. He asks her about her mom. Elsa tells him that she passed away, but doesn't tell him the full truth behind it. I looked back through my gallery and realized that I missed this, so I'm adding it here. This is Tasha and Kat, and this is heavily inspired by a specific artist. I'll put the name in editing. Kat is showing off different outfits while Tasha is giving feedback. This was super fun to make and put together, and I love how it looks. It also got a lot of views on here, which is really cool. I haven't drawn these two in so long. That's a crime. A little blood warning for the next drawing. Skip if you need to. Another Waterboy study. Yeah. And a beat-up version as well, because why not? Next is a Bonnie and Sam comic. I like this one a lot, actually. Sam asks Bonnie what it feels like when she uses her powers, and Bonnie compares it to the tingling you get when your limb goes numb and your circulation is slowly coming back. I got this idea while my own arm was numb. I thought it would be kind of cool. I don't know. I really like how this turned out. I like the colors. Sam looks really cute here. I like the dialogue, and I had fun drawing this. Next, I drew the main cast of The Witch's Sorrows at the start of the story and in the epilogue. At least as of right now. I have a rough idea for the ending. I'm gonna keep it to myself though. But it was really fun to draw this. I started with Dan. He goes through a lot of changes. He started off very closed off. He keeps his emotions and feelings to himself. Physically, he is very fit, and he has no drip. That is very important. Then in the epilogue, he is much happier, more open, has a little bit more drip, and he's not as muscular anymore. He doesn't push himself to be perfect. He has a few new scars, but overall he is much happier, and I love that for him. Then I drew Mingyu. At the start, he is pretty happy and friendly, but his past experiences still deeply affect him. Over the course of the story, he makes a lot of discoveries, goes through more stuff, and slowly becomes more comfortable with himself. For his epilogue look, I gave him longer hair, he feels more confident expressing himself. His outfit is probably going to change in the future, at least the colors. I didn't really have a plan for that, just wanted to add a pop of orange to it. And then I put him and Dan together, obviously. They get together in the story, there are ups and downs, but they work through it and end up very happy together. Bonnie also goes through a lot of changes, but a lot of them spoil the ending, so I'll keep it vague. Her style evolves a little bit. She starts off wearing a lot of dark colors, mainly black. Her hair is quite short. Then as the story goes on, she starts wearing more color, her hair gets longer, and she's not wearing her necklace in the epilogue. If you know, you know. She has some new scars, and that's about all I can tell you. Next is Sam. I'm still figuring out a lot of her plot, but she starts off very happy and outgoing. She's friends with the other characters, and she's often the one holding the group together and resolving conflicts. She goes through a lot of stress throughout the story. It does dim her sparkle a bit. By the end, she, of course, has a few new scars and looks a little different. I don't have much to say that won't spoil the ending, I'm sorry. Next is Daisy, and there aren't many lore-related changes when it comes to her. She looks different every day anyway. She goes through a lot as well, makes a lot of discoveries about people around her, fixing some relationships, letting go of others, but I do think that after everything, she will focus on her love for photography and go on and do great things. Off-screen. Anyway. And lastly, I drew Elsa as well. Here the change is the biggest, and I'm not really sure where to start. Her ending is bittersweet, I'll say that. It's not happy, but not completely sad either. What I will say is the response to these was quite funny, specifically with Bonnie and Elsa. With Bonnie, the response was, "Aw, she looks like her mom." And with Elsa, it's, "Oh no, she looks like her mom." Love when parallels happen without me even trying. But this was actually super interesting to do, even though I don't have the ending fully planned out yet. As of right now, that's where it's going. I imagine after the ending there will be a time skip, the epilogue to show what the characters are up to, and it was kind of fun to go back to my older art for their starting designs, because these characters have evolved, even outside of lore, just visually. They look pretty different when I first redesigned them compared to now, and I find it really interesting as well. They do kind of look younger in a way. Then I did a little comic of Mingyu finding out about Bonnie's powers. She hid it from him, and I imagine he's the last one in the group to find out, and he's upset by that. Obviously, it's already crazy to find out that your childhood best friend, that you thought you didn't have any secrets with, has magical powers, but he's also the last one to know, and it wasn't through her telling him. I imagine the group is in danger, and Bonnie uses her powers to save them, and that's how Mingyu finds out. Sam knows, though accidentally. Daisy knows, and him and Bonnie aren't even that close. Even Dan knows, and Bonnie doesn't even like him, though Mingyu doesn't know about the witch hunter thing. And Bonnie feels guilty for not telling him. I like this comic a lot, even though it's quite simple. I really like how Bonnie's face turned out here and her micro expressions. Her expressions are very limited, and it's always fun to play with that. Blood warning. Skip here if you need to. Then I drew another plot idea I've had for a while. In short, one of Dan's old basketball friends beats Mingyu up. Dan sees it and looks after Mingyu. He comforts him, gives him his hoodie to stay warm, drives him back to his dorm, helps him change, and then stays the night because Mingyu doesn't want to be alone after such a stressful evening. Dan is absolutely geeked about that. Then when Mingyu sees the others, he's really dismissive about his injuries. He doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't want to focus on it, he just wants to focus on the task at hand, whatever it is. I'm actually in the process of writing this, and I plan on dropping this on AO3. When I'm recording this, I'm waiting for my invitation, but I might have the account by the time I post this. I plan to drop some lore snippets there. I have a lot of lore ideas in my head that I haven't talked about anywhere, and they're kind of a lot to draw. Writing is easier in that way, and I got really into it recently. I don't want to forget those ideas, I want to have them available somewhere, so look out for that, I guess. I'm not a great writer, but I am doing my best. I already have a few plot bits fully written out, and it's very fun. Another comic, and it's about Mingyu and Dan again. Mingyu came in wearing Dan's hoodie, and Sam immediately questions him about it. It is very obvious to her that they both like each other, and she loves gently nudging them and teasing them about it. Mingyu is very stubborn though. He's convinced that Dan is straight, so he dismisses all the teasing, despite his feelings. And that goes on for a while, until Sam gets tired of it. Teasing them is still fun though. I like the dialogue here. And the last thing I did is this animation thing with Rachel. I wanted this to look like old Flash games you could play on Girls Go Games or similar websites. I used to be obsessed with those, especially the ones where you do the character's skincare routine and makeup. Even though you just had to click buttons and the result was always the same, there was something about it. I like the result. Editing it together was kind of a nightmare. I had almost 80 little things to work with, all the sprites of Rachel at different stages, eyes closed and open, all the little makeup stuff, the effects, the cursor, the background. It was a lot, and keeping track of it all was a lot too, but I managed. It took hours, but I managed. I want to do something similar, but with hair and maybe clothes, but I haven't gotten to that yet. It feels scary. Also, someone suggested I do the makeup thing again, but with Daisy, and I might. That would be cool with the goth makeup. That was the last drawing I made in 2025, but before we fully wrap up, I want to show some of the commissions I've done as well. The ones I could find at least. First, we got 2 chibis of the Commissioner's OCs, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, so I'm sorry if I mix something up here. I like these, they are fun to color. Next is this drawing of the Commissioner's OC or persona with a character from the Fairly Odd Parents, I think? I don't know. I'm actually really happy with how I translated him in my style. The original design is very specific and different from my art style, but I feel like I did pretty well. Next are these 2 characters hugging. I don't know who they are or where they're from, but they look very cool. It was tricky to keep track of all the details on the clothes, but it was fun. Next, I did a series of 7 bust shots for one commissioner. This was very fun. They sent me very helpful collages of all the facial features and the hair and the color palettes, and I just put that together. That was cool, and I'm happy with the results. Blood warning again. Skip here if you need to. This is a repeat commissioner. Prior to this, I drew a character sheet for them, and this is a bust shot of that same character. This was super fun, and I finished it much faster than the character sheet because I obviously already had the finished design to go off of. Very cool. This is a big one. It's a repeat commissioner as well, and these are their OCs. Very fun designs. This commission took a while to finish though. I usually finish my commissions pretty fast, but with this one there were a lot of adjustments to be made, a lot of revisions, so it took longer than usual, but we got there and I'm very happy with the result. Another boss shot of an OC. Again, very fun design, I really enjoyed drawing it. I really miss my no line art style. I've been mainly doing it for commissions, but not in my personal art. I don't know why. Then it's that same OC, but a Christmas themed chibi. I love this. I like what I did with the... what's it called? The wreath. I like how I colored that. And here is another chibi of the commissioner's persona. More simple, but it was still fun to do. And that was the last piece. One last thing, I know, I'm sorry, I keep yapping, but I also want to compare my art at the start of 2025 and end, just to see if there's any progress. Just bear with me. I chose these two pieces since they show Bonnie's face. I love Bonnie's facial structure on the newer piece. My coloring has changed a little bit, but I don't know how noticeable that would be to you guys. I can see changes, but it's definitely not a super drastic difference, just a little bit more refined, if you will. I tried a lot of new things this year. I did a bunch of challenges, and just last year I was saying that I don't like art challenges. I made my own challenges, and people even did them, which is awesome. I made my first merch, which is crazy. Hope I get to do more in the future. I finally got into drawing comics, even though right now they're short and relatively simple, and I still use a lot of references for the layouts, but it's a step closer to doing a proper comic. There's still lots and lots of steps left, but we're moving, and that's what matters. I want to thank you all for being here and supporting me this year. I know it's late January now, but still. 2025 was a rough year. The world is a mess, so let's hope for a better 2026. Stay positive, stay creative, stay yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. Check out my other socials, they will be on the screen and in the description. Stay safe, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!